It's kind of the dream because I am the biggest Sarah Michelle Gellar fan. I grew up on Buffy. I know What You Did Last Summer was like the coolest thing when I was a kid. I
Hmm.
just absolutely was so obsessed with Kevin Williamson and North Carolina, and I just thought it was like I just want to be a part of the movies. I just want to do horror film.
Your film Scrambled will be in select theaters and on digital and on demand February 2nd. So, how would you best describe this film?
So it's in theaters on February 2nd, and then it's on VOD in March. So
Gotcha. Okay.
um I just don't want anybody going and looking on it for it on, Apple
Mm.
on and being like,
Yeah.
wait, they lied to me. Um
Yeah.
I would describe the film, it's a letter it's a love letter to myself in a lot of ways. It's a love letter to all the ladies trying to figure it out. Single in your 30s
Mhm.
can be an awkward, messy, tough, sticky place to be. Society wants to remind you all the time that you have somehow failed as a woman. So my film is about womanhood in your 30s and the existential crisis that you go on sometimes when you are trying to fight for your fertility, like Nellie is. She freezes her eggs and then she goes on a throwback tour, revisiting loves from the past to see if any of them were worth a second shot, which, spoiler alert, none of them are.
And so, this is your first feature film where you directed, right?
Yep.
How was that experience?
It's wild. I was
Yeah.
telling somebody that I don't think I was very close to my story, obviously, because I lived it and it's so inspired by the people in my life, the experiences from my real life that I think it would have been harder if I was like directing like Arrival, and I'm like telling everyone what the aliens need to look like, and I've got Amy Adams. Like that is like this was something I lived. So I
Yeah.
think that was my saving grace. And also as an actor, I had been working on the material for the months since I wrote it. So I was dialing that in and so that I could just throw away my acting and really focus on listening to my scene partner, which is really all acting is listening and reacting to somebody else what they're giving you. And in some ways being the director is the best way to act because you're authentically listening for once rather than thinking the film is all about you,
Absolutely.
which is what I was guilty of doing as an actor. I'm like, this is my moment. Everyone check me out, look at my skill level. But as a director, you're like, I don't care about me. I just need to make a good movie. So you kind of pull out, you get this bird's eye view of everything.
Absolutely. And in the film, you played Nellie, who seems to be, as you mentioned, enjoying the single life. But is there really any significant differences between Nellie and yourself?
Yeah, I think in some ways, I think Nellie's a bit younger version of me. Like,
Mhm.
I am proud to say that when I froze my eggs, I was able to pay for it myself. But the reason that I made it a difficulty for her was because if I had needed to freeze my eggs even a couple years earlier, I would not have had the money. I really resonate with my broke younger self because there were many years that I was paycheck to paycheck and I
Mm.
just don't know if I needed to pay 13 grand, like where do you just come up with 13 grand? Like I would have had to go to my brother. I would have had to go to my dad. My dad literally did pay for one eye when I did LASIK. So it's like, I would have had to borrow. I don't know how you
Yeah,
do it. It's so expensive. And the fact that so few, my health coverage, and I have really good health insurance through the WGA, did not cover nearly anything. So that is one difference is that I feel like I had my career a bit more figured out than Nellie by the time I needed to freeze my eggs, but I really resonate with someone who is fighting to pay their bills because that was me most of my life.
of course, of course. And in the film, Ego Woldham plays your best friend. We all know her work from Saturday Night Live. So, what did you enjoy most about working with her?
She's just such a pro. Like she just shows up, she's going to hit all the beats. She knows exactly what to do. She is fearless, she is unafraid. She does not question herself. And I think that is in some ways the most, an acting coach, an acting professor actually in college told me this. He goes, he walks in, he was like, it's just mostly about fear, isn't it? it's just all about fear. And I thought, what does that mean exactly? But now I know exactly what he means, that the really great actors, the greats, they're fearless. They don't worry about looking stupid. They don't worry about misstepping. They're trying shit. They're playing. They don't know what's gonna land. They're just gonna try it. And I think Ego has that. And I think she's in boot camp on SNL, right? They're all the you only get on that show if you're fearless, if you're one of the greats, because they're in front of
Mm,
the country every week. It's like a fever dream. I don't know how she does it.
absolutely. That is so true. This film has been picked up by Lionsgate. It actually didn't it premiere nearly a year ago at South by Southwest Festival?
It did. Thank you for noticing. It has
Yeah.
been a minute.
So, going back to that, how was it for you watching that film at a festival and, getting the reaction from fans and critics? How was that experience back at South by Southwest?
South by is the place of my dreams. They premiered my first film, MFA, which was a horror film, and then it felt like the perfect place to premiere my directorial debut. Um, and they have supported me and believed in me as a festival, and I'm forever indebted to them, but it doesn't mean that it's not terrifying. It is
Yeah.
so scary. And I had my best friends with me. We all stayed in a big house in Austin, and I had my team, and I had my studio, and I had my producers. But in many ways, it's me up there naked, and I'm you're just trying to believe everyone around you that's telling you it's going to go okay. Everyone is trying to like contain you, but you really do feel in some ways that it's your neck on the line. And it was such a blur for me because I felt just frozen in fear,
Mm,
thinking, what if they hate my movie? What if everyone's been lying to me and this movie isn't any good at all? And the reaction from Austin, and Austin's just the best. The South by going audience, they're ready for whatever you're going to throw at them. This isn't their first rodeo, and I
yeah.
felt really contained and supported, and it was the dream come true. And then I had to wait almost a year, as you can see, to to actually release the film. But I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for my South by experience.
Of course, absolutely. And after starring, directing, and writing this film, did you learn anything new about yourself?
Oh my gosh. I'm still processing all the things that I learned about myself. I mean,
Hmm.
I think one of the best things that I learned about myself, I'm very proud of the fact that I just kind of jumped and built my wings on the way down. I didn't allow a lot of time for me to be afraid, because I think if you allowed a lot of time, the evil voices start to tell you you're not any good at this and you shouldn't even be attempting this and you have no business making a movie, writing, directing, and starring. But I think once you get through it to the other side and you're kind of like, what just happened? You're like, what just happened is I did it, you know? No one can take that away from me. Whether you love my movie or hate my movie, you can't take away the miracle that is actually making a movie. And the fact that it got made, I will be forever proud of myself that I at least got to the finishing line, barely alive, starved,
Yeah,
leg missing. But you know what? I've got to the finish line, and I'm really proud of myself for that.
absolutely. And one last question for me before I let you go. Along with Scrambled, excuse me. Um, I believe you're writing the Legacy sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer, right?
Yes.
How is that process going?
It's kind of the dream because I am the biggest Sarah Michelle Gellar fan. I grew up on Buffy. I Know What You Did Last Summer was like the coolest thing when I was a kid. I
Hmm.
just absolutely was so obsessed with Kevin Williamson and North Carolina, and I just thought it was like I just want to be a part of the movies. I just want to do horror films, and getting to bring back these characters, getting to write my ultimate legacy sequel, me as a fan, me as a young girl, it really doesn't get much better, does it? It's like getting to live all your childhood dreams. And let's just, you know what? Just pray for me, Brian, that we get into
Hmm.
production and we get
Yes.
to making, because you never know. But I will say it was one of the most joyous writing experiences of my life.
Yes, you definitely need to make that happen. I'm definitely looking forward to it if it does. But Leah, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Congratulations on the movie and continued success to you.